We're going to take a quiz. Are you ready? Some of you may have arrived after we made our sticks. If you did, don't worry. We'll give it to you later. But if you have a stick, get it out. Because we're taking a test. Look at your colors. Which color do you think would mean yes or true? I'm hearing red and green. Is this a Kenyan thing? Okay, people. Green means yes. Green means true. Okay? And so red is going to mean no or false. Okay, this is a very important test. Are you ready? Who's got their green ones up? Show me your green one. Are you ready? Hold it up high, people. I'm all the way up here. Show me. Say yes. Okay. I'm going to be looking for your answers. Is this assistive technology? Yes or no? Oh, you guys. I'm not going to fool you. Okay. All right. Is this assistive technology? Y'all don't need me. Is this assistive technology? Okay. I have a tennis ball, a pen poked through a tennis ball. I have a pencil with a washcloth wrapped around it. I have some wine corks with a hole drilled and a pin shoved through them. I have some hair curlers with a toothbrush on it. Are these assistive technologies? Well, I got a red over here. She's saying no. Who thinks no? Go ahead. Okay, that's fair. This, you would touch a button and press a pink button and it would speak. Is this assistive technology? Yes. Okay. This is a board book. So it's a book with thick, hard pages, and it has little fluffy pom-poms on it, glued to the corners to fluff it up. Is this assistive technology? Okay. This is called an eye gaze board, and you would look through this side out to the person, and you would ask them a question, and then they would use their eyes to point to their answer. Is this assistive technology? Canes. Are these assistive technologies? We have a list, a checklist. We have a visual schedule. First we wake up, then we hug my mom, then we wash our face. First you go to the bathroom, and then you play with your toys. Are these assistive technologies? My phone has an app because I'm 50 years old and I can't see anything anymore. My app will make everything larger for me. Is this assistive technology? This is a cutting board with a nail stuck through it pointing up. You poke your food on it and you can cut with only one hand. Is this assistive technology? Are these little things in your hands assistive technology? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. The answer to all is yes. What is assistive technology? It is any item or piece of equipment or hair curler or wine cork or software program or something that you buy off the shelf or you dig out of the trash can to make that helps someone do something that they have trouble doing. My friend Anne is height impaired, and she called me into the kitchen yesterday and said, "Steffi, can you get a cup for me? It's on the top shelf." Now, if I had not been in the room or in the house with her, she would have gotten a stool or a chair and assisted herself to get high enough. That is a form of assistive technology. When I met my friend, Mr. Belden, for the first time, and he came to the little lighthouse in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we have been blessed with so many resources, it makes me cry. And I visited places yesterday where I see how different it is. I really do. And Mr. Belden explained some things to me about the children in his village. And he said, Miss Stephanie, we have clay from the river. And he's found ways to use clay from the river to make things to help the children in his school learn their lessons. So it is a fact that my life and my resources are extraordinarily different than what you might have in your life and available to you. But it doesn't mean that we can't try and use our creativity and ask the Holy Spirit to inspire us with divine wisdom to find solutions. That's what assistive technology is about, is seeking creative ways to make things happen. Now I'm going to ask my friend Miss Jordan to exit the slideshow for just a moment, because I want to make sure you understand that we're trying to give you some basic information and then resources. My friend Ann is at the back table, and she's putting over 400 files onto flash drives. And we have flash drives for every one of you. They're just still being copied, and so by tomorrow, you'll have a flash drive. And here's a little trick. You're going to be like, where do I stick it into the computer? Where's the little thingy? It has a secret door that you twist, and the little thingy pops out, okay? So if you could just back up one layer. This will be what is on your flash drive, and we have a folder for every presentation that we've done. And inside each folder is a copy of the presentation. So what I'm going to show you next are different categories of assistive technology and some ideas. So if you could go into the Introduction to Assistive Technology, so that PDF file right here, you don't have to open it, but this is the one that looks like the presentation that I'm doing, and there's one of these in every folder, so you can go back and refresh your memory. But in the Assistive Technology Resources folder, I will be showing you these forms. There's a slide, and if you go ahead and open that for me, so we don't have to go back later. The WADI assessment forms. And then just do the WADI forms. WADI stands for Wisconsin Assistive Technology Initiative. Wisconsin is a state in the U.S. And they had a team of people who created checklists. So if you don't mind just opening up the top one that says checklist. Where do we get some inspiration and ideas? Check out your checklist. And you'll get, now some of this is dated. You can just stop right there. But let's say we have someone who has difficulty sitting in their seat without falling over. Then we can problem solve that and get some inspiration from these resources, okay? So that's all I wanted to show you there. If you could back out, we'll go back later, that's okay. So we'll just start here, and right now I just want to give you some inspiration. Assistive technology can be broken down into categories. So thinking about vision, obviously we have glasses. I see many of you wearing glasses. And the other thing to know about assistive technology is that it's a range. We have no tech, so it would be a popsicle stick. You know, there's no batteries, there's no electricity. It'll work whether the power is on or not. And then we have mid-tech, and that might be something that requires batteries. And then we have high-tech, and that's something that has very complicated computer interface. So we do have, Miss Linda mentioned dyslexia. Colored overlays placed on top of the printed text can help the brain visually organize itself to better see for some people, it's like the words are dancing on the page, And then when they put a colored overlay on the page, the letters stop, and they can see it and read it. And then magnifiers. And then you can also take, if you have a photocopier, you can take your printed material and enlarge it for someone so they can see it more easily. Did it just get like extraordinarily hot in this room? Like all of a sudden, the last 5 minutes? Okay, I'm not the only one. Or maybe it's a hot flash. Okay. We've got vision and mobility. There was a young man that I was teaching. He was in the 8th grade. And this young man could stand. He could hold onto the table. He could walk around the table. But if I said, Skylar, go get your snack, he would refuse. And this went on all year. When we would go from the classroom to the playground, he had to hang on to my arm, and he shuffled like an old man. And then he would go to the playground, and he would find a place to sit, and he would do nothing. And then at the end of our school year, a vision specialist came. And she said, oh, I forgot to tell you, Skylar has a vision impairment called cortical vision impairment. He has trouble seeing how far. He has depth perception problems. So he doesn't understand. His brain can't tell that he's 5 feet from the ground. It looks like 10 feet. So he doesn't know where to place his foot next. She gave him a mobility cane, and that kid walked down the hall, went to the playground, explored all the playground equipment, and I'm like, dude, you could have been doing this all year. And I could have had my arm free. So mobility and vision very much go together. This is a PVC pipe. So sometimes children are reluctant to begin to walk because of vision impairments. Their body, they can stand up, but if you notice that they're having trouble moving, this just gives them a little bit of a guide so they understand how far their body is from the ground and where they're going. Now, giving someone some stability when they are learning how to walk can be helpful. So we call these walkers, and you can make them out of different materials, PVC pipe. Obviously, you can buy them commercially made. And we had a video of this super duper high-tech spaceman thing that we have where we put a child in it and it helps their body learn how to move their legs and walk. But giving someone the opportunity to learn how to move themselves independently is very important for their brain development. Yesterday when we visited, and forgive me, the community-based organization that we visited yesterday, Mr. Victor, please say the name of it for me. And he's whispering it, so you can't hear it, but you guys know, because it was said earlier. Thank you. I won't try to repeat that. But we were visiting yesterday with mothers and their children, and there were a number of children there who were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old and had not learned how to walk yet because their bodies had cerebral palsy or some other disability. They would have benefited from a wheelchair. Now, I understand that wheelchairs can be hard to come by and that you might be in a place that's very remote and you don't have access to wheelchairs. On your resource drive, there's information about how to make your own wheelchair. I've seen motorbikes and bicycles all over the city. I've seen wood. I've seen gears. You can construct a piece of equipment out of the resources that you have in this city that would give someone independent mobility. And we even have these little guys. This is just a board with some small wheels that have been attached to the back. It has little wheels that you might have on the bottom of a dresser. And then a foam seat, and this child can begin to move themselves, very little child. Communication is something that I will elaborate on after the lunchtime break and give you some ideas about that. I do have some resources here for you to come and look at after the training today. Communication is very important. We all know this. Communication and cognition develop hand in hand. giving someone the ability to communicate their needs and wants. It helps reduce problematic behaviors. And communication supports can be letters if someone is able to spell, or pictures, or these are becoming more and more available commercially. They're just simple buttons with a small recording device inside of it that so you can record a simple message on it. And all the way up to higher tech devices that you might have on a tablet or an iPad. Seating is critical. I see that all of you have your feet on the floor. I don't see a single, well, I see a couple of people who are leaning. Their back is not touching the back of their chair, but the bottoms of their arms are resting on the table. We use the posterior part of our body, and that can be the back of your head, it's your back, it's your bum and your hips, it's the bottom of your thighs, it's the back of your knees, and the bottom of your feet. These are the things that we support first. And if a child is on a chair and their back is not reaching the back of the chair and their feet are dangling and can't touch the ground, they have to work so hard to keep their body from falling over that they can't listen to you and pay attention to what's being taught. So we look at how they're sitting, and if you need to give them some additional supports, these are pool noodles. You can construct those supports so that you can provide that you can put a pillow behind their back or use a blanket to put beside their legs to give them more stability and support. This is you could use a cardboard box. This is a piece of wood with two little feet nailed to the bottom so it's a certain height, but it has holes cut in it for the legs of the chair to go into. So if you have to have chairs that are maybe meant for adults, but you have little people sitting in them, you can make them fit little people better by raising the floor so the posterior part of their foot, the bottom of their foot has a place to rest. You can put a pillow behind it or some pool noodles, or even I've seen people driving with foam mattresses. I don't know how expensive they are, but that foam would be very good to create support for chairs. If you're sitting on the floor, you can provide, this little child is sitting in the corner. If all you have is a room with a corner, use the corner to provide the support for that child. This is a really interesting contraption that I found online, and it's created out of PVC pipe and a plastic tray. And this is a combination of PVC pipe and wood, and this is a foam seat called a bumbo. I don't know if you have bumbos here, but you could create something out of pillows and pool noodles and plastic. And this child has a tray that's just at the right height for him to use, and he has a very supportive seat. Now writing. This is something I've learned as a speech-language pathologist. Readers are writers, and writers are readers. I'll say it one more time. Readers are writers, and writers are readers. So how do you help someone develop the skill of writing if they have trouble holding a pencil? The two skills go hand in hand, reading and writing, so we really need to help children develop writing skills. This is, you all recognize the pencil grip. It can be as simple as a pencil grip. This is a piece of plastic with holes cut out to provide some tactile guides for how large they should write their letters. So if someone writes their letters really large and they can't see how small to make it, you could make it that with a thin piece of cardboard or even a file folder. Just a little bit of an edge to it. This is a notebook actually two notebooks that puts the paper at a slant so that sometimes the visual motor connections, if you can raise it up a little bit. This is a milk jug handle. So I have a lot of friends at the Little White House who you try to give them something to hold like this and they can't hold it or they drop it. If you can give them a milk jug holder, which I dug out of the trash, you could put a marker in it. I can't drop it. I can color on my paper. You could put a scarf in it, so when you're singing songs, they can wave their scarf around and participate in music. You can put a paintbrush in it. You can put a fork or a spoon in it to give them some, if they can't hold on to something. Using different things to raise the surface of what you're writing with, so tennis balls or ping pong balls or anything else to make it larger. And then, obviously, I have terrible penmanship. I'm much like Linda, that I literally, so a friend of mine at church, his wife died this summer, and I wrote a condolence letter to him and put it in the mail, and he emailed me a couple of weeks later with a picture of the note that I had written. And his message said, "Miss Stephanie, can you please tell me what the last sentence of your note said, because I can't read it." And I had tried really hard to make it legible, but I had to decipher this card that I sent to him. You guys were supposed to laugh at that, but it's really hot, so I understand why you're not laughing. We're coming to the end. Just take a second. Okay, Miss Stephanie, what do you want me to do with this information? My job today is to give you some ideas. When I have been speaking with my new friends that I met at the university and learning more about the history of legislation regarding disabilities in the country of Kenya, I'm learning that in 2015, this big law that was passed, we passed a similar law in the United States back in the 1970s. So I don't say that to say, we're ahead of you. I don't say it that way. But if you think about a stairwell, in the United States, we're just a few steps ahead. And you're coming with us, right? So what my job is to just give you some resources so that maybe you know what your next steps might be. And because, oh my gosh, if not you, then who? If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Amen. And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. This path is not easy. In my lifetime, I have seen many things change for people with disabilities. But you, my friends, are the leaders in your country. You're looking at yourself and thinking, I'm not a leader, but I believe you are. And I know you are because I was told that some of you traveled 20 hours by car to get here. And some of you were in the parking lot at 9 o'clock last night with nowhere to sleep because you said, yes, I want to help. And I know that you are the ones to do this. We do have barriers to implementing assistive technology. They happen in the United States. They're going to happen for you. So let me give you a heads up about what's coming. Lack of appropriate training for staff and family members. There's no way, oh, thank you. There's no way I can teach you all there is to know about assistive technology in 45 minutes. In the United States, I taught a 6-week class on this where I would lecture for 8 hours for every class over 6 weeks. So 8 times 6 is whatever number that is. 48 hours on assistive technology. You get 45 minutes, people. But we do have this wonderful thing called the internet, and you have your resource USB drive with information for you. Negative staff attitudes. Is this something that anyone manages at the current moment? They're not here, they won't know if you said yes, right? But this is a true thing because I understand that there is still a lot of resistance to assisting people who have disabilities. So this is going to be a natural, something that you encounter, but you are making change in your country, and these things are changing. And you yourself are an example of how it can change. An adequate assessment and planning process, I'm going to give you a framework for how you can construct your own process to analyze assistive technology. Insufficient funding. Does anybody have $1 million to get your stick out? Does anybody have $1 million to spend on assistive technology for your village? Yes or no? Don't worry, I don't either. But we have access to no-tech resources, we have innovation, we have creativity, and we have a desire to do something different. And those things can be, you can have all of the money in the world and still do a crappy job of implementing assistive technology. So please don't let that discourage you. Likewise, difficulty finding equipment. Like I said, in the United States, we are so many years ahead of you. 1970, 2022. And a lot of things have changed. And they will continue to change for you as well as things become more available. And then time constraints. I love how time is viewed here in Kenya. It's very fluid. So I don't know if you'll have the same kind of issues that we have in the United States. Okay. The magnificent Dr. Martin Luther King is a huge inspiration to me. And in the United States, at our state capital in Washington, D.C., a few years ago I got to visit the African American Cultural Heritage Museum, which is a relatively new museum at our capital. It's all about the people who came from Africa to the United States, either of their own free will or not. And it highlights the accomplishments of a lot of wonderful people, including Dr. Martin Luther King. And there's a stairwell. Just have this vision in your mind. This is the vision I want you to walk away with, because it's a vision of hope. There's a stairwell that starts at the bottom, and it goes up, and it curves around, and you can't see the end of it when you're at the bottom. You just have to continue to take a step and believe that the next step is going to be there, that when you get to the top and you can't see what's beyond the curve, that the steps will still be there. So just take the first step, and you'll be okay. Have faith that it will be there. So Ms. Jordan opened up this folder. If you could go ahead and we're going to go to the next folder. So you have these resources. They're extraordinarily helpful. Please use those and take your time to review them. They'll be very helpful for you. And the next resource is, where did they go? Yeah, go use the back here. Oh, USB drive resources. Oh, they're on the left. One down. One more. Jordan's brain is multiple because it's hot. Let's go back to folder number 3, Assistive Technology Resources, and quiet. It stands for Quality Indicators for Assistive Technology. Over the course of probably 10 years, I and many others in the United States and Europe would meet on a regular basis, and we developed quality indicators for what assistive technology services could and should look like. We tried to create a standard so that we were all trying to do the same thing and not forgetting anything. And if you could go to the folder, And the first folder, the first one, matrices for consideration. Okay, it is not my imagination. It's like 100 degrees in here right now. Hold on. Okay. When it comes to assistive technology, what is this? This is just a framework for you. It's like this building as it was constructed, or the tent outside as it was constructed. The poles were brought in, and the frame was put into place. And then the roof was put on, and then we put the table and the chairs underneath it, right? So we needed a framework, a place to go. I'm okay. That's all this is. So these are things for you to consider as you're thinking about assistive technology. Are we thinking about it for everyone at our school? Have we analyzed everybody at our school and really thought about, do they need it or do they not? If they need it, have we thought about all the different areas of consideration? Understand, did we try things? Did we ask ourselves, did it work or did it not work? How do we know if it worked or not? So these are just the questions. These are the questions that you and your teams can ask each other. What's the next step for us as a team, with our school, with our families, with our community, in terms of how we can use these technologies to support our kids?